Hello, this is Peter from Weymouth here at ZZIPP Media. Today I am at the Weymouth Library and I'm at the Weymouth Seafront Lighting Exhibition. So I just thought I'd come down and do a Facebook Live. If you have any questions, please leave a comment up there and I'll ask them for you. So I've got one viewer already. So if you want to make yourself known, and could you let me know my sound is coming through okay? If you want to leave a comment there, if you have any questions, I'm going to talk to a representative now, it's this project has caused quite a bit of controversy locally, but we'll see what we'll see. All right, so I want to introduce you now to. Just give me a second, I'll switch the camera around. There we are. Okay.
I'm Natalie Poulter, I'm the project coordinator for Dorset Coastal Connections. So that's this project and that's 17 other projects right across Dorset.
Right, and what is the lighting project?
We're aiming with this project, we've got a £200,000 grant from the Coastal Communities Fund, so it's a central government funded project. We're working in partnership with Weymouth and Portland Borough Council. They might not be contributing any cash to it, but they are giving us quite a lot of expertise and officer time, so it is very much a partnership project. What we're aiming to do is to really bring back the magic of the Weymouth seafront. So we're looking to unite the visual aspects of the esplanade from the tower on the peninsula right the way along the main esplanade, past where all the Victorian columns are at Green Hill, up until the rock groin by the Sea Life Centre.
And the lighting is LED now, is it? It's not the old-fashioned lighting?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. The proposal we're showing today is a mixture of demonstrating what the new technology can do and really showing what the artists' ideas are of how to bring back a flavour of the old fairy lights with a bit of modernity built in as well, without actually having things strung between the street columns, because we understand from the engineers now that it's just not physically possible to do that. So we set the artist a really tight brief to be able to try and give a flavour of that kind of strung, twinkly, colourful effect that people loved so much about the old lights within what is physically possible and within the budget as well.
Right, and the lights will be switched on between what times?
Well, we think we did ask in our first consultation with the community back in September, October last year, and people felt quite strongly that really it needed to show as much of the evening as possible. So we thought it would be best to meet that by suggesting that they came on around or before, just before dusk, which of course varies throughout the year. But we're asking what time they should switch off, and I'm pleased to see people have been chipping in with their answers on that. It ranges according to where you live and what your thoughts and opinions are, but we're very much looking to take a consensus view and make sure that it's off by the time people want it to be off at the end of the night.
Right, so the design is very different than the old fairy lights. It's all computer controlled and everything now, is it?
Yes, that's right. So we know, as I say, that the new lamp columns that are along the seafront are further apart than the old ones, and we know that they have really quite a small loading capacity. Each column can only take 5 kilos of weight, that's about 2.5 pounds. Right. And by the time you add a string of lights between the columns, that it just can't be done within the tolerances that we've got, adding in wind throw and everything else that the engineers have to consider. So what the artists have done is to come up with a scheme that uses the existing lamp column. So we're not adding anything extra to the seafront, we're using what's existing there. Right. And they're going to put LED strips up the back of the light column, so on the esplanade side. So as a driver you're not seeing any glare, the hotels aren't getting any glare through their windows, but the light will cast across the esplanade in a range of colourful patterns, moving designs, some still designs as well. We've got real capacity for variation in what those programs look like. Those will then be programmed by a central computer that will then transmit those instructions to the columns to tell them what to light up. We think we can program, we're advised, the artists have told us that they can program around 20 designs at any one time. That's not to say we have to show all 20, but it means that if we wanted to program a set which might be specifically Christmas or specifically for certain events, we've got capacity to do that and then have some more ambient ones that would work well year round.
Right, so when is this project due to be online, as it were?
We're aiming to unveil it on pretty much the last week of March next year.
Right. And what kind of work, what kind of disruption to the seafront would be involved?
It's pretty minimal, actually. I mean, that's one of the benefits of using the street lighting columns that are there already. We know they've got an electricity supply, we know they've got all the data connections already set up, so we can just tap into that, and we've confirmed that with Dorset County Council Highways, and we've worked with Scottish and Southern Energy to make sure that that's realistic and feasible with what's there. So there'll be no digging holes, no digging trenches, so that's minimum disruption there. Really, it'll be a question of a cherry picker, or something like a cherry picker, to attach the lighting strips to the outside of the columns, and then all the rest of the work is kind of done in an office behind the scenes to actually program it. So
right.
Very little actual disruption.
So I believe you have a video online already that isn't exactly what's going to happen, but it's a kind of close fit.
Yes, what we ask the artist to do is to give us a demonstration of what the technology can do. So if we were to put this scheme in place on the seafront, on the lighting columns that are there now, what might it look like? What kinds of displays are possible? And then we can start to have conversations like we're having today, some really great conversations about what kind of colours people like, what kind of moods people want to create on the esplanade, and really the best ways we might achieve that. We're also looking, of course, at things like social inclusion and making sure that whatever we program in is suitable for people with disabilities or people with epilepsy or perhaps visual impairments, autism spectrum, ADHD, all those kind of considerations. They're not necessarily represented in the animations that we're showing at the moment.
Right.
They are literally what the technology is available to do, but we are taking those into account, and we wouldn't put any programs up that would negatively impact people with those kind of disabilities.
Could we have a walk over to the display now and show people the possibilities?
Sure.
Okay. So this is the possible video.
Yeah, and this is available online at our website. That's dorsetcoasthaveyoursay.co.uk. If you go to that website, then you'll see the Weymouth project at the top of the page. If you click on that, you'll find this video and an opportunity to complete the survey underneath it as well, if you can't get here in person. But like I say, this is a question of what the technology can do. So it could be a question that if you've got a music event on the beach in the summer, we could program it so that it goes in time with the music.
Right.
It could be something that actually we want something more subtle, more calm, and we can program that in as well. The artists are very keen on using the lighting display to reflect how people use the seafront. So we've been asking people what kind of activities they do and where they go, and are they with children, are they with their families, what kinds of things they're doing, because each of those has a different kind of pattern to it, and the artists are very keen that their designs kind of reflect those patterns. So
I have a question from Jane McKell. She says, why on earth is the public was so in love with the fairy lights we couldn't have LED strings? So simple, so cheap and so effective.
It's a good question. It's one we've been hearing a lot. Thank you, Jane. Really, it comes down to the fact that the existing columns that we're using on the seafront, the newer lighting columns, the pointy ones, they are further apart than the old columns, and they can't withstand any more than 5 kilos weight going through them. That means that for an effective, robust catenary string lighting scheme like has been there before, it's just not possible for us to do that. We did consider it, we did talk to the engineers and see if there was any way that we could come back to that, but because the lights are further apart and they can't take the weight, it's just not possible, unfortunately. So when we talked to the artists, we fed that back and we said, we've got a bit of a problem, we'd like you to solve it creatively. How do you take what's physically possible and what people want and try and find something in between? And that's what we've asked them to come up with, and that's what some of the patterns that they've suggested are aimed to address.
Right, what is this going to cost?
The whole scheme is costing £200,000.
Right.
That is funded by the Coastal Communities Fund. It's a central government grant. The council, as I said before, are giving us quite a lot of officer time. That's qualified engineers, that's planners, conservation people who've got a real understanding of how the beachfront works and what the people, what the services that are required on the seafront. But they're not actually contributing any cash to it. So the whole budget is coming entirely from that £200,000 grant.
Right. I've just had a reply from Jane McKell. She says, "Thank you for your answer. Brilliantly explained. I quite like the dancing vertical strokes. Can they dance in time to any music rhythm?"
Yes, they can. Normally they will just be programmed onto their own steam, if you like, and they won't be tied in with anything. But that's the beauty of the system that we're looking at, is that we can do exactly that. So if you had a music event on the beach, you could time it in with the orchestra or the DJ or whatever that event is, so that the lights operate in the same way as they might at a festival, so you could kind of create that atmosphere.
That's great. Well, I shall include a link to the video under this video. So thank you very much for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, what do you think? Let me know. And this has been yes, Jane, it's quite possible it could be something wonderful for events. So, this has been Peter from Weymouth Library. If you can let me know if my sound has been okay. What do you think of the idea of these live broadcasts from events here in Weymouth? You can find out more about me on my Facebook page. This will be posted to my Facebook page. I also have a YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/ZZIPPster, ZZIPPSTER. You can go over there and see all kinds of things. I do video walks around Weymouth, countryside and town. I do old monologues. I do interviews with interesting people. I'm also going to put this Facebook Live on my YouTube channel soon. So take a look over there. As I say, you can see my YouTube at www.youtube.com/ZZIPPster. You can subscribe and see what else is coming. All right, I'll leave you now. Bye for now.